we being fed?
Hello everybody, we're back with Paul Graves. He's a Sasquatch researcher from Wenatchee, Washington, who investigates the subject throughout Washington and the Pacific Northwest. He is a lifelong avid outdoorsman who grew up in the eastern Cascade Mountains. He has been researching Sasquatch sightings and searching for evidence since 1988. Welcome, Paul Graves.
As my Jeep works its way up the mountain road, it's bumpy. These are dark woods, deep dark woods. As I head into the Cascades and make my way up to a dispersed campsite that as Washington people are so fortunate to have, it gets us deep into the woods and it's a free place to camp. I've been coming here for many years. I pull up, get out and close my door, and I do a customary greeting. About 15 minutes goes by, and I grab a ball, and I walk down a trail to the edge of the forest, where the campground is now peters out into the thick woods and the dark woods. And I lay this ball down on a stump, as I often do. It's a thing I sometimes do. I lay it on a stump, and I turn around and start walking back, and I take 3 steps. That's right, that's about how loud it was. This is daytime, this is 5 o'clock on a summer night, and the loudest bang came from right behind me in the woods, like Barry Bonds hitting a baseball bat against a tree. I froze, and I said to myself, wow, they're already here. I didn't turn around, and I continued walking to my Jeep and set my camp up. Proceeded to sit, set my table up, and I had some dinner. It's getting dark about this time. It's finally dark, and I'm sitting there. I camp a lot alone, so this is my best place to be. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I start hearing whistles around me, bird whistles. It's dark. It sounds like one comes from here, then all of a sudden over here. Little bird whistles. And I'm sitting there, then all of a sudden I just hear these thundering footsteps, and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? It's pitch dark, I can't see anything. Luckily for me, and I would like to thank Wally Gerson for this too, I had a thermal unit sitting in front of me, a thermal heat seeing camera, and I slowly picked it up to see what the commotion was. It sounded like it was coming right towards me, and I look, and my tent's set up in front of me, and right on the other side is a full-grown elk, standing there, looking at me, panting. I'm like, wow, this has never happened. In the middle of the night, there's an elk standing right next to me. And then as I'm scanning the woods, I see it. I see something behind the tree. There's something behind the tree, peeking its head out, turning and looking. And then all of a sudden it goes off through the forest. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul Graves, and I want to thank you all for being here. Welcome to the conference. I wanted to start out with a little story there. Give you a little background on myself. I was brought up in Wenatchee, Washington, on the eastern slopes of the Cascade Mountains. I was brought up in a pretty well-educated family. I guess my whole family are teachers. My mom was a writer, actor. She worked for the Wenatchee Daily World as a reporter for 27 years. So there was a lot of good conversation in our house. And let's go to the next one here. I'm just showing you some pictures here. at a very young age, I started going into the woods. There was a camp up in Leavenworth, and I started going as a camper. I eventually became a counselor, and we would take kids up into the mountains, 20, sometimes 20, 11-year-olds, and the oldest adult was like 18 or 19. And, you know, nowadays you never hear about something like that, but we would go in for 3 days. And so I started at a young age, just having an appreciation for the woods and going out. Let's keep going. So these are some areas. Here's some Eastern Washington fauna. A lot of people think that Eastern Washington is dry, but the Eastern Washington Cascades are very, very thick and deep. Okay, so for my area, there's been quite a history that goes back to the first people that came there. The Old Man of Mission Ridge is a reference to what the old-time hunters called this Sasquatch-type guy. They called him the Old Man of Mission Ridge. Choanato is the Wenatchee Indian name. It means night people. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on the eastern side of the Cascade Mountains, and most people don't talk about it. When I first got into this, it was like I didn't want to tell anybody what I was doing. I was pretty scared. I felt like I didn't want to tell anybody, but yet I wanted to ask everybody. And that's what I proceeded to do off the street. I started just asking everybody in a very matter-of-fact way. It was amazing, amazing what started coming out and how it affected my family, and even within my family, four members of my family that have had encounters. So there's lots going on. This is me a couple years ago up the Eastern Cascades, and so we'll just get through some of these pictures. Now, let me cover this up because I don't want you to see that. Oh, you can't see it. I guess you can see it. The great Bernard Heuvelmans, the father of cryptozoology himself, this was one of his favorite sayings. Language, society, and work are the three decisive factors of humanization. So let's think about that. Let's just leave it at that, and we'll come back to that. Just kind of keep that in your mind. A good friend of mine, Robert Michael Pyle, wrote Walking with Bigfoot. Great guy, great friend. We had some good discussions before I had this on really what's going on here. There's still some, I guess, miscommunication even with a lot of the people nowadays, or even now, that on what we are. And so I just real quick want to touch on this, and this is what me and Robert came up with in talking about Sasquatch being human or ape, or human or animal. We're all talking at cross purposes. Humans most definitely are animals, and humans are apes. Both terms apply to Bigfoot too. Neither of them are monkeys, however, which comprise of a different branch of primates. Human and Sasquatch are both animals, and they are both apes. The only question is how far. Okay? I'm not getting scientific on you here because I'm not a scientist, but I do want to just touch on this real quick. This website up on top, if anyone wants this, I can send a link to you, but this is another thing that Robert kind of helped me through, and this is a really good little paragraph here. Humans, Homo sapiens, are classified as hominidoidae. This is incorrect, as there is no such group. Humans are classified as hominidoidea, which is the superfamily of mammals and primates containing the great apes, and humans are also part of the family of mammals and primates called hominidae. But there is no hominidoidae. This website still describes the old idea that there are other great apes belong to the family of Pangaea, but now both anthropologists and zoologists believe there is no family of Pangaea, that both humans and other great apes all belong to the family of Hominidae. Okay? So, is there any questions about that? Pretty straightforward here. Good. Okay, let's move on. Face value, what I've learned. And what we have learned, that not just me, but what other people learn. I'm glad to see some fresh faces in here, by the way, because I'm a musician, and I don't just write songs and play songs for other musicians. I fans, and it's good to see other faces in here. I come from a family of teachers, so that's kind of what I like to do. I like to educate people. So what we learn, behavior traits learned from eyewitness accounts. I think that's important. What we don't know about them, social traits, where they live, where they sleep. Sometimes I feel like I know nothing about them after 25 years. And then Albert Austin's story and the Minnesota Ice story, those are important stories. Is everyone familiar with those two stories? Okay, some of you are not, but anyway, Albert Austin was a guy that was apparently kidnapped back in 1924, I believe. And he was taken, picked up in a sleeping bag by a Sasquatch and taken to this high cirque. And he was with them for 3 or 4 days, and he saw how they lived, and how they ate, and how they slept. So to me, if that is true, that's a very important story. And the other one, of course, is the Iceman, that was one that was killed up in Minnesota and was actually looked at for 3 days by Bernard Hemels and Ivan T. Sanderson. So that's really important too. That's why I don't like to call them an animal, because I think people think it's okay to shoot one. That's just my own personal thing. They can walk upright like humans, although they can crawl on all fours and their belly just like humans. I'm a cement finisher. I crawl around on my hands and knees all day too. So they leave footprints a lot like humans, and then the Indians believe they're another type of wild people. So I'm just touching on some of this. I know this is a lot of some of you have heard this before, but it's important. Behavior traits. They're very curious about some people. Very curious. I believe it's a vibe. Just like we know people's vibes, and sometimes we'll want to walk up to a person, or we might not. We can just feel that from their vibe. The young ones seem to be very daring and playful. I got a story from about Stevens Pass. I got to be friends with the guy that owns a coffee shop up there, and got many stories over the years from him. One of the weirdest was when these two cars were coming down the freeway at night, and they were following each other closely, going 60 miles an hour, and a Sasquatch runs right between the two cars. I mean, that's what's going on. So they come around small towns and cities bordered by forests, covered or bottomland. Their ability to mimic, make sounds, and speech. There's no doubt that they are the masters of mimicking. I've actually, in one area, had my name said. If anyone wants to talk to the guy that was said to, he's sitting back here, Lieutenant Colonel Jones, in an area that we've all been going to for many years. So the speech thing is a real thing, and they're mimicking. They can mimic a lot of things. There's just a lot of evidence that they can't speak. Steal or help themselves to food, homesteads, or ranches seems to be something they do, and they're more common and suitable habitat than people realize. So, no, I did skip over horses. Let me get there. It's right here. Horses, there seems to be an affinity with horses, and there's a couple interesting stories I got from the Olympic Mountains of the Indians up there would tell me that they would go hunting up in the woods, and at night their horses would get untied, and they would find them tied up like a half a mile away. And this happened a lot apparently to the Quinault Indians. And there's something else about horses. I know there's been a lot of sightings with horses. We all know they sound like an animal. So there seems to be an affinity with horses. They seem to like horses. There's something about horses I don't quite understand, but it's there. So let's keep going right here. Okay. This is a picture from our cabin. This subject hit me so hard when I got into this that I knew someday that I needed to be out closer to them. Even though Wenatchee's pretty remote, it's still a fairly large city now, but it is backed up to the Cascades. So in 2006, my wife and I purchased 20 acres 4,200 feet up in the Cascades. And they're there. I've had numerous things happen around the cabin. Some of the things Tom was talking about is weird, and I've had some things like that happen. But to me, the mountains are an endless classroom, and I think the indigenous peoples from all over the world have a better appreciation for what they are, because they had to go get their medicines, they had to go get their food, and that's the same with the Sasquatch, and that's why there's this affinity with the Sasquatch and the Indians. You have Indian reservations. There's always seems like there's a lot of sightings around the Indian reservations. Well, they all lived a lot alike. We go to the store now, we take it for granted, but so I think it's important for people, if you are interested, go out and learn about the plants and the animals and the other things. Learn about your environment. It really gives you a better appreciation for maybe what the Sasquatch can do. Okay, here we go. Music is the universal language. Think about it. And it can affect anybody in a lot of different ways. I'll get to that. So anyway, music is the way I introduce myself. I've been playing in the woods probably since I was 14 years old. I'm 51 now. I can't tell you how many times I've had things walking around my campfire as I've been playing. I mean, it's mind-boggling. And there's other things that we'll be getting to, I'll tell you about here. So what I tell other people to do, instead of going out and doing the things that people seem to be doing nowadays, is do the things that people do when they have the sightings. What are people doing? Well, they're out in the woods. They're working, they're homesteading, rural living, mushroom picking, fishing, camping, hiking, brush picking. Any of these things that you do naturally, you're going to have a better chance than if you're out there poking around, okay? So backpacking, that's something I've been doing since a young age, something I enjoy doing. I've been all over the Cascades by myself, and I've never carried a gun. Doesn't mean I haven't carried a weapon, but I never carried a gun. So, unless I'm in grizzly country, of course. Tracks and snow tracks, I'm going to get back to that in a minute. I always have a 2-piece of evidence rule when I go into an area. If I find evidence, I try to at least get 2 pieces of evidence to corroborate with what's going on. Gifting. I've been gifted a couple times. I believe it's something that they do. There's a history of it with the Indians that they gift. I've been gifted twice. I didn't bring my gifts, but I really believe they were gifts. Altered senses, absolutely. It's happened to me a number of times in this one area, and it's not pleasant sometimes. It can be very unpleasant, and there's things there I don't understand, whether it's infrasound, electronical, pheromone. There's a lot of possibilities for that. Definitely something they can do. Helping and harassing. This is an interesting one. Good friend of mine, Bobby Woods, that I grew up with in Wenatchee. There's a little Boy Scout camp just up the road from my house, about 8 miles up the road, where the timber starts. And he was in the early 70s back there at this camp, and he somehow wandered off and got lost. Well, he told me that this man came out of the forest and was all covered with hair, and he looked old. And this old man, led him back to where he was supposed to be, back to the lodge. And Bobby, to this day, the way he talks about it, he just knows that it was a Sasquatch that took him back. But on the other end of the flip side, I've got a number of stories of people being harassed. One guy, this was told to me by a Forest Service personnel of this particular valley that I have hundreds of reports from. A guy got actually picked up in a sleeping bag and drug around his campsite for 2 to 3 hours. I have other stories, some of them I won't get into, they're a little graphic, but there are stories of people getting harassed, maybe a little bit hurt by a Sasquatch. I think everybody needs to take a step back sometimes. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, the Sasquatches, they don't hurt nobody, but we don't know that, do we? Really? I think we all should be cautious when we're in the woods. There's dangerous animals out there. You know, if a Sasquatch is an animal or a person, there's going to be confrontations, things are going to happen. I don't think they're all going to be nice. Not that this is the norm. It's not the norm. I think they are more nice than they're not, just like probably humans are. You know, we hear all the bad news, but I still have faith in the human race. So there's both, and I don't know why sometimes they will help someone and sometimes they will harass someone, but it happens. Sasquatch killings, I know of 2. One was actually written up in the newspaper, and it was on Blewett Pass in 1992 at this campground called Tronson. And the Forest Service people came up and actually took a picture of this Bigfoot. Right after that campground closed down, and to this day has never opened. What happened to the pictures? I don't know. I'm actually still working with someone on trying to get some more information on this, but you know, apparently it happened. The other one is another good friend of mine that grew up near Twist, Washington, and they had some property up there, and this old prospector kept walking through their property year after year, and finally they asked him, you know, hey, what are you doing coming through here? And he basically told them this story of him killing this Sasquatch and burying it under rocks. And he vowed to go back for the rest of his life, look for that Sasquatch, and he never did until he died. And he was very adamant about what he'd done. Gunshot Association dinner bell, I threw that in there. Everybody kind of knows something that's been seen before, that when hunters shoot, sometimes they'll shoot a deer, and out of the bush, here comes a Sasquatch, and grabs the deer, throws it over his shoulder. That's happened a number of times. So you think about some of these things they do, you know, playing with guns and playing with these cars. It made it sound like it'd be a good Johnny Cash song. I play with guns, I play with cars. Just kidding. So, let's see here. Okay. I want to get into the snow tracks a little bit. I hear a lot of researchers say, oh, I can't wait till spring to get out, you know, get back out in the woods. It's like, what? You know, I'm Norwegian. I don't work during my winters because I do concrete work, so I take 3 months off every year. I'm in the woods, in the mountains, all winter on snowshoes. It's the best place to be in the world. You get out of the valleys, you have sunshine. People say the roads are all blocked off by gates, but you walk around. Some of the best tracking that you can do is in the wintertime. I would encourage anyone that's in shape that can do it to try to get into it. It's a great exercise, and you have to be careful out there. There's avalanche dangers, there's a lot more dangers, of course, but winter time is a great time to be out in the mountains. And I would encourage everybody to do it. So these are some old looking tracks here. One thing with snow, if you don't spend a lot of time in snow, you have to spend a lot of time in snow to understand how tracks work and how they melt, okay? If you just visit the snow, that's not enough. If you live and you spend a lot of time, you will soon see how fast things can melt and change. As a matter of fact, I took a picture, but it was too bright. But this cast here, I was just practicing in the snow to see. I was doing a test. This is from wall to wall. And I stuck it in the snow. It was just above freezing, 33 degrees, I think. And the high that next day was 37. So it was a 4-degree difference. And the next day when I came in, this thing had literally doubled in size. I mean, all the way around. It was huge. It was like 2 feet long by a foot wide. That's 4 degrees warmer. So tracks in the snow can melt out really quick. They can melt into different shapes. Deer track can melt into a huge thing. So they're tough. Snow tracks are tough. Here's a couple other ones that I found. These are pedestaled, where whatever stepped on this matched the snow down the ice, and then the snow around it melted away, leaving this actually higher than the substrate. These are pedestaled too. And then, okay. Here's my 6'5" neighbor. And I want to get this right here. This is my trusty walking stick. You can get these for free up on the ski hill in the spring after skiing. So yeah. Anyway, let me get this next picture up here because I'm going to discredit some people here. You may not like this, but tough. Okay. This is 4,200 feet up on our property. This is one of our roads leading out here. This is my neighbor's tracks. He's 6'5". His name's Mike. And as you can see, I laid my pole that I have right here from one edge to the other edge right here, and it's still not touching. Let's grab this little tape measure I got out here. So my pole is 46 inches long. So we still got a couple inches here, so 48, maybe 50-inch stride right there. And look how perfectly in a straight line they are. There's no variation at all. Okay? One thing when we walk in snow, if you don't walk in snow, you don't really know this, but when a human walks in snow, you tend to over-exaggerate a little bit because you feel like you're not getting as much economy as you should. So when you walk, you tend to stretch out a little bit. So again, perfectly in a line, almost 50 inches apart. That's a 6'5" human. So when you do see tracks, people say, oh, they're in a line, they have to be Sasquatch. Not necessarily, right? As you can see. Just wanted to touch on that. These are some possible tracks. These are from the Olympics. A lot of times tracks get washed out very quick. That's another thing I've noticed with tracks. I found a lot of trackways, old trackways, but I found 5 or 6 really good trackways. And it seems like every time I find a good trackway, if you don't have hydrocal, or if you're not ready to cast that print, there's bad weather that comes in. It's happened 5 or 6 times. I don't know what the weather association is, but there's something with the weather and finding good tracks that go hand in hand. So, these are some tracks that I found up in a lake in a small tarn, and there was 4 of them. These are actually in Kelly's book, this one here. They're not very large, but what was disturbing to me was there was 4 of them coming out of a lake, pointing out of a small tarn lake. And then there was some big flat rocks, and then that was it. There was only 4 prints with toes, and this was in October. And again, after I found these, that night a ferocious storm came in. Okay, I might disagree a little bit with Tom on this, but I personally believe, I'm a witness advocate. The witnesses, the ones that see them, they know more about them than we do. I got a couple people, there's a couple witnesses that know a lot about them. I mean, they've had multiple sightings. And so these are the people I like to talk to because they're the ones that have seen them. They know what they are. So who can some of these witnesses be? Well, they could be anybody. They could be forest service, housewives, military, policemen, insurance agents, teachers, engineers, farmers, construction workers, retail doctors, etc. Just about anyone. TV and everything, everyone pretty much knows what a bear looks like. Of course there's misidentifications, everyone can misidentify something. But So just, it hits just about anybody, and everybody kind of knows that already. Jim Henry and Dean DeWeese, I just want to let you know some of these witnesses and how it's affected me personally in my life. I've gotten to be very, very good friends with some witnesses, and two of them were Jim Henry and Dean. Dean had a dramatic sighting in his cabin. It was actually replicated on Monster Quest, but Dean played with Lawrence Welk, and I met Dean from his sighting, and then we ended up becoming good friends and actually played in a band, Cabin Fever. He's a phenomenal trumpet player from the old school days. Jim Henry is a gentleman that I'm working actually on his book right now because his life story is just incredible. I actually met him in 2005. I went to his house. I interviewed him. I've talked to him on the phone numerous times, and then 2 weeks ago, I finally got to go over to Grace Harbor County, where he was brought up, where he was from, and spend the whole weekend with him and go out to some of these places, to his property. He had property on the Humptulips River, and he had a Sasquatch that was living on the back of his property in this lair. And he would see him all the time. In fact, he named him. His name was Joe Lewis. And his wife, they didn't even know what a Sasquatch was back then, but these, to them, they were very nice-looking people, or whatever they were. They were very well muscled. I mean, they just thought they weren't sure what they were at first. So I'm a huge witness advocate. I think you can learn a lot from witnesses, but you can also learn a lot from other researchers. And if you share all that, of course, that comes full circle, and that's why we do these things and have these powwows and stuff. But if you do have an area that you think you have stuff going on, you need to be predictable when you go into that area. Use the same trails. Go in. Don't be poking all over the place. Go in. Be predictable. That's what Sasquatch likes. If you're predictable, you're going to have a better chance of having them come around you. And then lastly here, we are all modern-day explorers. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you're not an explorer if you're going out spending your time and your money on something like this fascinating subject. It's going to be us. A lot of the astronomers are all amateurs, and so it's going to be us. It's going to be the amateurs that are really good, and we are making the difference. It's going to take it to that next level. Okay. Another song. Signs, signs, everywhere the signs. Okay, there you go. Okay. When I first got into this, I was hearing about some of these some of these tree breaks, or these twist-offs they were calling, that were possible signs. And, that's an interesting thing, because to me, the Sasquatch, it's a living, breathing thing out there, which I believe it is. They have to be showing some kind of signs or things of their, where they've been, and they most definitely do. I believe symbolism and structure are very, very important in a Sasquatch. Now think about this. When you wake up in the morning, we can't even step out the door without being assaulted by signs. Think about it. Everywhere you go, there's signs. Don't turn left. Do not enter. Name of the street. Stop. Everywhere we go in this world, a human cannot get around with a sign. So it makes sense. Animals use signs. Deer will mark their territory. Bear mark their territory. And humans mark their territory. So why wouldn't a Sasquatch mark some territory or use a sign or structure? I think it's very, very important. I think it's an underestimated thing that they do. So, in 2005, I was contacted by these people in Western Washington that had property that were having continued sightings of a Sasquatch. So, and they would hear him scream and so on. And this lady would stand out, she would sing on her porch. This was in the Granite Falls area. So me and my colleague Vaughn went over there and we checked the property out. And this is our teepee. This is on our property. Me and my wife bought this a few years back, and they're great structures. I don't know if anyone's ever lived in a teepee or been in a teepee, but they're very efficient structures. So anyway, we went to this property, and we went back out on the property, and we started finding these strange structures that almost looked like a teepee. And I hadn't heard anything about these at the time, but they were very intriguing, and right here, you couldn't pull them apart. Here's a couple more from the same property. Here's some more from the same property. Now there's something in here that I noticed that was odd. There was one little thing in here that I noticed that struck me on these teepees. Here's some more. Now by the way, these teepees I also found tracks. I also found upbreaks. This track right here is actually this track that I cast, and it shows the divergent toe. There's probably a little bit more stuff on the edge here that wasn't really the toe, but it does show you, so that would have been in like that. There was a trackway there. We casted one of them. So there was other evidence there. There were some sightings, and then of course these teepee structures that were just mind-boggling. And the one thing I noticed with them, here's some in the Olympics. Here's one, a small one that I found in Oregon by a bridge. And then here's some more. The one thing I noticed was there always seems to be this one stick that goes horizontally through almost every one of these. Some of these are torn down a little bit, but there always seemed to be a perpendicular stick. Well, just this year I had a chance to go and meet my good researcher friend John Andrews, who's been researching for over 50 years, and he is a member of the Olympic Project, working with Derek and Rich and me and Dave and so on. And we met this lady, and her story is she and her dad homesteaded a bay on this uninhabited island in Puget Sound, a very large island, in the early 70s. And her dad worked in Anacortes and would leave her out in the bay for 3 or 4 days at a time, at a 10-year-old girl by herself. They had an old truck, and they got these logs, and they bolted the truck to it. They drove it out there. They were going to homestead the bay. If you stayed there for 7 years, you could homestead. So this girl, she's in her 50s now. We were sat down at the table. We're all sitting there talking, and she's telling us, well, when I was a young girl, I saw a Sasquatch swimming twice. And one time it actually swam up to the rocks, crouched down, and then stood up and walked into the forest. And then she went on to tell us all these things that happened. She told us about rock clacking sounds, wood knock sounds. She would hear smells. She would hear screams. This is a 10-year-old girl by herself. She would take a little dinghy from where they were perched in the bay. She would have to go collect wood for the fire. And all this stuff was happening. Well, the strangest thing that she told us, and this is a 10-year-old girl telling me this, was that she used to find these teepee structures in the forest up by where she was hearing these sounds, and there was always this perpendicular stick going through it. When I heard that, I about fell off the chair. Me and John looked at each other. I was like, wow. That to me, and that's one of the main reasons I decided to show some of this stuff, because that to me is just amazing that a 10-year-old girl noticed that. So I really believe that signage and structure are very important to a Sasquatch. Why wouldn't it be? It's all important to us. We can't get around without it. Okay. Wildlife recording. I'm a musician. This is something I really enjoyed doing, and it kind of came naturally for me. I have a recording studio in my basement. This is a spectrographical view of a sound, and it's kind of hard to see here, but right here is the sounds that it's picking up. You can see in a spectrographical view much more than a waveform or whatever where the sounds are. And then the neat thing about it is you can come over here and you can see what hertz range it's at. So there's about a 700 right here. If you look, these are right in that 700 range. I had a number of recordings analyzed by Dr. Fox at Texas A&M a few years back when I was consulting on a couple Monster Quest shows. And I sent him some recordings, and he talked about this 700 hertz thing that seems to be consistent with some of these Sasquatch calls that we get. So it was interesting that some of the calls I was getting that same 700 mark. This is a great way to analyze any wildlife. You can put it in there. Most animals have a voice print, so you can kind of tell where they're at. You know, coyotes up around 1,500, but they can vary. Barred owls can be up around 2,500, and they can vary a little bit. But the Sasquatch seems to be right around that 700. So let's go ahead and listen to that scream that you just saw. This is a scream that I did a call. I was by myself. I was way up above Lake Wenatchee area in eastern Washington. And this is kind of what answered. Now there's, you're supposed to just be able to click it on. There we go. Does anyone know computers? I'm computer illiterate. Oh, okay, go back to yes. What's that? Here. Yeah. Here. Somebody come up here and do this for me. Thank you. Is there a 10-year-old in the house? I do want to thank my grandson, Elias Nelson, 16 years old, for helping me put together this PowerPoint presentation. So you think I can go back to the regular one and make it work? Yeah. F5. Oh. Okay, let me get back here. Okay. Okay. It's still not working. Well, maybe we won't hear some screams today. Darn it. I need help. Does anyone know why this is not working? Okay, while these guys are trying to figure this out, I want to do one other thing, and I might as well do it. While I was talking on the music thing, well, I got to get back to this with the screams, but I know everybody likes music pretty much, right? I mean, one of the things I use, by the way, let me just show you. This is my little flute that I use, and this is called the little flutophone. And they're real easy to play. I don't know if anyone's ever played a recorder, but you got to get your fingers right, the pads of your fingers over the holes, and they're sometimes difficult to play. But these little flutophones are great because they got the raised bumps, and they're loud. I mean, you can actually make them sound like an Indian flute. I've had a lot of luck with one of these little flutophones. So I was just going to ask, is there anybody in here that really wanted to learn? Has anyone ever wanted to learn to play some kind of music? Raise your hand. Okay, I got to get the first three here. Well, good. It's your day then. go. There was someone that raised their hand right here. And I got one more. This side of the room. Who wanted to learn music? I got one more. Where's the little girl? Come on up here. Go have fun, learn some music. Makes everybody feel good. Yeah. Drive home real quick. I'm really sorry about that, folks. I had no idea that's how computer illiterate I am. So, darn it, I was really hoping to show you some of these screens because there's some interesting qualities in here that I was wanting to show you guys. Maybe I'll just kind of explain it. This coyote human call was a call that actually a friend of mine, Jim Von Lasso, from Western Washington, recorded. And this was up in one of our research areas, way back in, clear at the end of where there was a locked gate, where we've been going for a number of years, where there's just been crazy amount of stuff happening. In fact, some of the best Sasquatch recordings ever recorded were recorded in this area. Well, he recorded this, and I sent this off to Dr. Fox, and Dr. Fox came back and said, well, probably coyote human. Well, there was no humans past the gate where we were. It was like 1:30 in the morning. And if you hear this thing, you'll hear these coyotes go off, but then you'll hear in the middle of it what sounds like someone going, hey, 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 like actually yelling like this hey thing. I mean, very bizarre. And so I wanted you to hear that. I'm sorry that I'm such an idiot on this. And then this one here is an unbelievable recording, and I wish you could hear this. It was in 3 parts, and maybe I can replicate it, but it kind of sounded like this. Some of these Sasquatch calls that I hear, they start with this low, drawn-out note, like a ooh, ooh, ooh. So that's what this one was. This was actually recorded in the Olympics, kind of McGarrett's place, actually. So I was like, well, what are they saying? Because to me, it's so important. You know, people hear screams, and it's like, oh, I heard a scream. I was like, cool, but what are they saying? I want to know what they're saying. I'm trying to communicate with them. Coyotes have a complex calling factor that they figured out exactly what they say. They're very complex. So Sasquatch would be complex too. But what I found out with this screen was those were the 3 notes. Well, in a major scale, 5 minutes. In a major scale, that's you have what's called a 1-4-5 progression, and that's the 1st note, 4th note, 5th note of the scale. Well, the 1-4-5 progression is basically a blues progression. 1, 4, 5. So those were the notes she was hitting. So, what was she saying? Was she mad? Did it make her upset? This was a call again where someone had made a call and she called back. So this is a response type thing. And the 3 notes, when I saw that they were on the 1-4-5, I don't know what it means, but hey, I'm trying, right? So, dang, I wish you could hear these. And that's the 2nd and 3rd note. And then this is the screen. And what I wanted to show you, this line here, is even though this call did woo, 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 it was stayed right around that 700 mark. Whereas you have a barred owl, and I did have the barred owl sound, but he's not coming in. Here's the barred owl spectrograph. It's kind of hard to see. And here, around 2500, and then you see it tail off down like this. So you can actually see the way they make their sound. But with the Sasquatch, even though they're doing these odd notes, they're going up and down, it's still in that 700 range. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And then that's another long, okay. Scream in a picture. I just decided to show you this because, again, I'm computer illiterate, and I don't want people to do what I did. I made a mistake. We were in our research area. There was a number of us standing around when all of a sudden, right across the road, and this scream came, Sasquatch scream. I mean, a classic Sasquatch scream. Well, little did people know that about 2 hours before, I laid a camera down across the road that goes down into this delta. And this screen went off at about 7:40, 7:35 or so, and I asked the guy that I was with, what time is it? And we checked the time. When I got home, this picture was completely dark. There was just little bits of white coming through here. You couldn't see any of the trees or anything, so I put it in Photoshop and started messing with it. Don't do that, people. Please, save your pictures first and then play with them. Because this is what happened. There's my second picture. That was the money shot. What I actually got was a face, 2 eyes and a nose peeking up from the crotch of a tree. And this thing had screamed right at the same time as my stamp from the exact same area. And that's the only reason I'm showing it to you. So here's the picture. You see this green arrow? Kind of hard to see. Let me get Tom's trusty dusty. Right here's the head. Here's the body. Doing this, like moving around. Well, the second picture takes 3 pictures in 5 seconds. So the second picture, there's the third picture. The second picture, somehow the government came in and completely wiped it away. So there you go again, the Bigfoot curse. And the third picture, there's nothing there. I mean, it's gone. It's like it ducked down. So what I did is I tried to draw in what I saw. I drew some eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and that's it right there. You see the little eyes, the kind of the cone-shaped head. It's hard to see because this is all washed out. It's not. This was all brightened artificially, and then that's his head. And there's 2 trees here. There's a tree behind it. There's a big tree here. It was kind of a crotch, and it went way down, and he ran up. Okay, let me get back. Tom was talking about recording. One of the things I started doing in 2005, I came up with this idea after talking to Quinault Indians, was because of the road cross sightings. They said, well, yeah, the young ones run out in front of you, but the adults wait till you cross by, and they go behind you. He says there's a lot of sightings of them coming, behind you, people seeing them in their mirrors. So I thought, I need to start recording behind me. Everything's happening behind me. So I started doing it on my rig in 2005. I didn't get much luck with that, but last year I got one of those little mini contour cameras, and I started recording behind me. Well, I was in Northern California, walking down a trail at a small lake near Fish Lake where there had been a recent sighting. And I didn't even see this till I actually had to buy a new computer for it to work, but the next picture, this is taken off my computer screen. I didn't want to show you the actual footage because I had a hard time clinking it all together. Again, computer illiteracy. But this tree right here, if you see this dark tree, something moved, glided through the forest behind me, and I saw it, with my naked eye. I was like, what's that? And I had to slow everything down. And the next picture, there's this blob. It's your classic blob squatch. I mean, sometimes that's all you're going to get, but it does show almost a cone head shape. When you go back, there's the tree. Oops. And there's the thing. So I think it's a good idea. I really do think everybody should get one of those contour cameras and start recording behind them. I think it's a great way to do it. Tom's giving me a minute. Possible day beds. These are a couple of possible day beds, dens. This one here really disturbs me. This one's about a 1/4 mile from my cabin. This appeared overnight in about 2008. This is part of my walking. This is on a north ridge. I've never seen a structure that was so thrown together, and if you go inside, it's actually shows like the branches like going over the top of each other. I showed this to a number of my hunting friends, and none of them said it looked like a hunting blind. Most of the hunting blinds that we have, here's one of the twisted branches. I found it when it was fresh. Here it is again. And then here's some human stuff. I'm a builder. I build houses. I kind of have an eye for what humans build, and this one here is just different to me. Okay. And so, actually, John Bindernagel's interested in this, and he's going to be coming up here in about a month and looking at it. There's another one in the Olympics they found that's similar. And then this is Dean's sculpture he made. I just threw these in here to show you. And this is one I made. This is in my backyard. This is my burglar alarm. I don't have problems with burglars for some reason. This is made out of old man's hair and wire. I don't know. My wife said when I was building it, I looked like the guy off Close Encounters for the third time. I was out there throwing mud and stuff, just like the neighbors, Paul, the neighbors. So that's how it's affected me. And then this just shows some tide grass, things to look out for that might be different. So here we are back to the language society work, the 3 decisive factors of humanization. I know I missed a couple things in here. I just want people to think about that, because to me, a Sasquatch is still a Sasquatch. Okay? They're not people like us. We're naked apes. We're pretty vulnerable. A Sasquatch is a Sasquatch. I don't think it's a little bit, for new people, putting the word people in with Sasquatch can be confusing. And so I just wanted to make sure that everyone understands that a Sasquatch is a Sasquatch, right? It's going to be its own thing, whatever it may be. Whether it has language, society, and work, which I believe it does. I've shown you all that. I've shown you that it has language. I've shown you that it has society, and it shows that they do work. So, hey, it could be that simple. And I want to talk just a second about the Olympic project. I'm very pleased to be working with the Olympic Project, Derek and Rich Kermoo, Dave Ellis. We have some great biologists on board now, Dr. John Bindernagel, John Mayanzinski. We've got some good people, and we just want to keep our head down and keep doing research, okay? We're not looking to be the biggest or the best. We just want to do it properly. And so that's where we're at, and I want to thank you all, and I want to thank Wally Hersom. First and most, I want to thank my wife, Becky, for putting up with me. I'd like to thank Bob Gimlin, being such a great friend, and John Bindernagel, Derek Randles, Rich Kermoo, Dave Ellis, Jim Henry, and Robert Pyle. And thank you all so much. That's it.